So then, today, Milestone have officially announced MotoGP 25 with an announcement trailer and, of course, as always, a bit more information on the website. So today, going to be having a look at the trailer, giving it a bit of a breakdown, and then heading over to the website, I guess, for the bulk of the video to have a look at the extra information. Now, if you want to see the trailer without me speaking over it, I will have it in the description below, along with the link to the actual website, again, if you want to read through the information. But without any further ado, we'll get it started. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I haven't seen this already, so I'm not going to, overreact to things, because I did see it when it first came out. So actually, the first thing I want to point out, so basically probably going to skip to this part of the video. Initially, it's kind of just been a couple of riders talking, I think Martin Bezzecchi and Acosta so far. Also just some random sort of shots of the Red Bull Ring, which we actually saw the other day with the teaser for the announcement. But the first thing I actually noticed from the trailer is if we go past this clip of Bezzecchi, and we've got a crash here. Now, obviously in MotoGP 24, they did add the ability for the handlebars actually turn during the crash, so it looks a bit more realistic. But for me, if I actually watch, I'll just actually play this clip for you, and for me, that crash just looks a lot more natural, the way the bike slides, just a lot more realistic. So even though it was a quick shot, actually, you can see the bike actually there was pretty scratched up. I didn't notice that the first watch through of the trailer. So obviously you can see we've got Bezzecchi, he's remounted the bike, he's got Chantra right up behind him, and you can see I think there's more significant damage to the side of the bike than in the previous games, and this is something that we'll come on to in a little bit, that the game is actually in a different engine this year. It's going to be an Unreal Engine 5, it seems. And maybe that is one of the improvements here with the damage, because the damage was always a bit, the bike just looked a bit sandy, a bit dusty, but this actually looks like it's scratched. You know, when you've seen someone remount the bike, they've picked it back up mid-race, they usually do have a bit of a scorp right on the side here. You can see obviously it's the ground effect sort of fairing that obviously is closest to the ground. It sticks out the most. Of course, it's going to sort of get a bit more scuffed. So actually, this clip is probably about the most interesting in the trailer up to this point. Obviously, some more interesting stuff comes later on. But this crash, to me, does look a bit more realistic, and then so does the damage. So I'm actually quite looking forward to that, because the crashes have looked a bit rubbish in previous years. The bikes have just slid away in like a really weird manner. They kind of glided across the track, whereas that looked like it kind of span around a bit more during the crash, which obviously, if you watch real life MotoGP, you see kind of does happen. So after that, it's just a couple more clips of the Red Bull Ring and Jerez. I guess, I'm not sure why they've chosen those tracks in particular, but I guess that's just what they do. I think they have done some of the trailers at the Red Bull Ring before, so maybe it's just it's an easy track to get the shots or something. I'm not too sure. But this is where the real meat and potatoes of the actual trailer is, the 3 new disciplines. So we'll sort of start playing from here, and you can see we've got some flat track stuff here. We've got some Ohvales and then some Supermoto stuff. So it's only briefly shown, but of course it harks back to the days of Valentino Rossi the game. Now, that's getting off for a decade ago, so there's probably a good chunk of you that haven't ever played that game or are unaware, but obviously, as it suggests, it was very much centered around Valentino Rossi. It was the 20th anniversary of him being in the Grand Prix paddock, because he started off 125 in 1996, so 2016 was when that game came out, and that's why it was like that. It was centered around him. There's loads of game modes around him, like the events throughout his career and stuff. But one of the things that was there was that you could go and train on R1s around Mazzano, which obviously is something that they do a lot. And you could also go and do some flat track stuff at the VR46 Ranch. And I guess that's the kind of vibes it gives here. In that game as well, there was sort of like a rider performance system. So like you could improve your stats, I suppose it was like braking. I don't know if it actually made a difference, because every rider in the game had these stats, but when you played as any old rider, they kind of felt the same. So I don't really know if it really made much of an impact. It must have done something, otherwise they wouldn't have had it, but I don't really remember it making much of an impact. But yeah, it kind of gives back those vibes where you've got the testing at the flat track, and you got everybody's pretty much in their official liveries. So you can see they've had to obviously go around a bit of red tape with it, but it's pretty cool that they're even able to do this, in my opinion. I think it's interesting. Maybe it's one of those things that you'll do a few times and get a bit bored of, but I think it'll be something that'll be definitely fun to go and play about with. Obviously, I guess it's going to be integrated into the career mode, but obviously the trailer doesn't say that, so I suppose we'll see on the website in a little bit if it does say anything about that, because I haven't actually read that yet. But yeah, you can see, they actually have got proper Supermoto helmets as well. So actually, in the first couple of times I watched this, as I saw they have their regular Grand Prix helmets in here, but on the Supermotos, they actually do have correct Supermoto helmets, so that's interesting. You can see there are some plain ones. I think that's Marini over there. Morbidelli here, when he comes through shot in the minute, has a plain one. Marquez has got his. Chantra's got a plain one. So obviously, I guess it's work in progress. You can see Jean Mir as well. But interesting, it seems like they've adapted the helmet designs to the Supermoto, which that must have took a bit of negotiating, to be fair, because that's going to change the sponsor placement and stuff like that. So sponsors are going to be a little bit interested about that. But yeah, I'm actually looking forward to getting stuck in with those bikes, see what they sort of play like. And then here it says Pro Experience, Arcade Experience, so sounds a bit more like potentially there is some more assists coming once again, which kind of has been the theme of the last couple of games in a way, that they've added more assists to the game. And then that is pretty much it for the trailer. And of course, at the end, we get the release date, which is the 30th of April. So going back to that sort of, well, going back to that end of April spot, which they had for a few years. You can see obviously down here as well, it's going to be on PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, see Steam and Epic Store, and then Nintendo Switch as well, which when I first saw the trailer, I assumed that meant that we were going to get UE4 again, because there'd been rumours that we'd have Unreal Engine 5, but I thought with it being on the PS4, with it being on the Xbox One and the Switch, I mean, the Switch can barely do UE4. These two could do it okay. The PS4, Xbox One, they could do UE4 fine, but Nintendo Switch cannot. So I was thinking that surely it must be Unreal Engine 4, but as we'll read on the website, it does not seem to be the case. So I've headed onto the website that I've spoke so much about already. It's the official MotoGP game website, and you can see we've got literally the trailer in the background playing. It was the same one that we've just watched on YouTube. If you go down here, we have got the latest updates. So I guess that's where the bulk of the information is going to be, because they usually have a bit of a homepage here where they have a few things sort of just touched upon. And you can see, obviously, there's the feel every detail, rider transfer market, create your vision. So again, it's the designing a custom set of, actually says custom gear in this part here. So that's interesting, because obviously previously it's only been the helmets, really. I mean, you could choose the colour of the sliders and stuff like that, and the protections, but it does make you wonder whether we'll have a bit more to design, or maybe it's just the way it's been worded. I'm not too sure. And obviously it's talking about online, but I think usually there is more information on the update section. It kind of just reiterates the same thing. So I think this is where we'll go and have a look. So, technical skills, mental strength, and strong passion are the key ingredients for any rider eager to leave a mark in the sport. This is the heart of racing, the core behind the 2025 edition of the MotoGP video game. Are you ready to show your passion and take your abilities to the next level? All it takes is to play the most comprehensive virtual MotoGP experience to date, MotoGP 25. So there you go then, that's obviously a little bit about the game, but here you go. Unreal Engine 5 in this next paragraph, so obviously kind of does disprove what I was thinking initially. So the 2025 season is here. Experience the full 2025 MotoGP season with all the teams, riders and tracks of the MotoGP, Moto2 and Moto3 categories. Discover the new Balaton Park circuit in Hungary and the return of the legendary Brno for even more intense racing. Feel every detail thanks to Unreal Engine 5 and renewed bike sound, made with the special on-track live recording sessions of the original bikes for true immersion into the MotoGP world. So that's something that people have been asking for a long time. Like, I know a lot of people have complained about the sounds for years. Now, for me, I've never been that bothered. Like, they sound close enough for me. I'm not massively, I've never really had a major issue with it unless it's like massively wrong. Like, I'm not really listening for how accurate the bike is. I'm listening for when I need to change gear and the note of the engine at that current time. But it'll be interesting to see what the improvement is like, because, yeah, it definitely does lag behind a little bit with some of the other, I was going to say like sort of racing games, but particularly when you look at things like Assetto Corsa, and there are mods for that game, the F1 sounds, for example, they sound bang on real life, like 100% just like it. And it'd be good to see if MotoGP can take a step towards that, because obviously in official capacity as well, rather than through a mod, that would be really cool to see. Next heading we've got then is train like a real rider. Enjoy some riding time away from the competitions with the new training sessions. Set in original tracks immersed in beautiful environments, you'll be able to master your craft and improve your skills with motard, flat track and mini bikes disciplines, exactly like the real MotoGP riders. So yeah, obviously that's something that we do see a lot, is riders sort of training. So obviously do supermoto, flat track and mini bikes. Actually obviously quite topical at the moment, because Jorge Martin's recently injured himself doing some supermoto stuff, so it does show that they do it. Flat track, obviously the VR46 guys do a lot of that. I know the Marquez brothers like to do a lot of, but they did used to do a lot of flat tracking years ago. I remember Marquez was really good at it. Mini bikes, I don't see that so much. I see more 600s around mini bike tracks. That's what I see more from the real riders, because it kind of more emulates what a GP bike is like. But some of them definitely do mini bikes, but it seems like mini bikes is more of a Moto3 thing probably than the MotoGP class. Obviously everyone has their own way of training, but generally when you see them, it is 600 around a car park, superbike around a regular circuit, or flat track, and then some of them do supermoto as well. So obviously it does depend on the rider, but that seems to be it. So obviously we can do that in this game, but of course we kind of grab that from the trailer. So an experience suitable for everyone. In MotoGP 25, everyone can express their racing passion with the 2 physics experiences available. If you're looking for immediate and pure fun, the new arcade experience is perfect for you. If on the other hand, you prefer to study every single detail of the tracks and prepare your own bike down to the last bolt, the Pro experience is the mode you're looking for. Both racing experiences are available in all game modes and all types of bikes. So again, I guess it doesn't really give us a lot of information about what the difference is going to be. I guess it's kind of like how it used to be back in the day when you had your pro and your semi-pro and your beginner physics. I guess it's going to be more assists for you. I know obviously in the last couple of games they added a few different neural assists, so like it helps you accelerate and brake at the right points. So I guess it's probably just building upon that, and maybe it'll probably be a preset, so tire wear might be off, stuff like that. Whereas Pro Experience, obviously that's the only one that I'm really going to ever play, so I guess that'll just be the same as it is now, I would imagine. So next then we've got choose your own path. So the bike development system will give you more control over the evolution of your bike throughout the season. Create your setup, talk with your engineers, and hit the track to become the best. The renewed social relationship system allows you to check your status among fellow riders during the race. You can look at okay, that's interesting. Be careful to respect the track rules because FIM stewards are back to ensure clean racing for both the players and the AI. Finally, the riders market is once again included after you welcomed the feature with great enthusiasm last year. Get ready for unexpected rider changes exactly like in real life. So I think the most interesting part of that really is the bike development system. Sounds like maybe you're going to get your engineers more involved with that. Obviously, I know there's the guided engineer that can help you make a setup already, but maybe with the actual development, it's going to be a little bit more surrounded by the engineers as well. Because obviously previously it was just kind of like, oh, you pick pack 1, you pick pack 2, you do a few laps on them, and then whichever one you basically do the fastest lap time on, you'll just go, oh, pick that one. But maybe you actually have a bit more of an input on it. You do select an area to focus on sometimes before the test, like the engine or something like that, but that to me sounds like it's going to be more in depth, but that could just be them just sort of padding it out and wording it in a certain way. The rest of it seems pretty much the same as last year. Obviously MotoGP stewards, which they had in the last game, and the rider market, which obviously was the biggest feature of last year's game. Of course it's going to stay. Sounds like maybe a bit better because it wasn't great. You got a lot of the same transfers a lot of the time. I always felt like, without going into it too much, but I've had to simulate a lot of save files for modding reasons, and you do get a lot of the same transfers. And so hopefully that'll be fixed. I know Bastianini to Repsol Honda was one it liked a lot. Bezzecchi to the factory Ducati again was another one that happened a lot more. But Morbidelli to the factory Ducati seemed to happen quite a lot. And then some of the ones that you want to happen couldn't happen because of energy drinks things. Hopefully that could be addressed this year. But in the F1 game, you can get the Red Bull drivers, for example, transfer into like Mercedes, which is like a Monster Energy team, and vice versa. So I don't see why it would be more of a problem in MotoGP because, effectively it is pretty much Monster and Red Bull that are going to have their say on that one. And then the last point we've got here then is show your craft to the world. In MotoGP 25, you'll be able to personalize your rider and bike thanks to official gear and the many editors available, like the helmet, racing number, butt patch, and sticker ones. Also, with the brand new podium emotes, you can celebrate your victories with style, share your creations with the world, and challenge everyone with the full cross-play available on day one, as well as new ranked races where you will meet competitors of the same level and the live GP championship. If you want to race with a friend for the comfort of your couch, don't worry, the 2 players local split screen is the perfect choice. MotoGP 25 will be available on April 30th on PlayStation 5 for all the Xboxes, Switch, PC, on Steam and Epic. The next chapter of MotoGP is around the corner. The warm-up lap has already started. Take your place on the grid in the thrilling wait for lights to go out. And then it says, cross-play live GP and user-generated content sharing is not available on the Nintendo Switch. So for us PC players, this is pretty big because that means we're finally going to be included in the cross-play, which, if you've been on console, you probably haven't even considered at all, really. It's not really been a problem for you. But we have basically been just stuck playing with other PC players. We haven't been able to play with the console guys. And for someone like myself as well, that's quite a big thing because I know a lot of you guys probably want to play with me. Like in the past, I know people have said that they only have PlayStation, especially when to do more online videos, which maybe with it being like this, I will be bringing those back a bit more. And it just gives a better pool of riders to play against, a bit more fair. Maybe we'll even have shared leaderboards, which would be good. So you can actually have an official world record rather than just having the world record on the different platforms. Obviously, Switch isn't included in that. So to me, that potentially means the Switch version will be a slightly different version of the game. I mean, it kind of is anyway, but I do wonder whether maybe the Switch version will be maybe more of like a GP24 clone with just the riders updated, because I know companies have done that with the Switch in the past, so it could potentially be obviously something they do. Obviously, my theory about having extra sort of editors is gone because it's just the same ones as normal. And podium emotes sounds interesting. I wonder if there'll be like a podium pass with that. I know in the F1 game, that's the route they took. So you could pick your sort of celebration on the podium. So I guess I was going to say, I guess that means there's podiums because the game, but they're already there, of course. Online, you don't see them, though, typically. So, and it said about showing them online. So I guess we'll finally get to see the proper podium in online. I know in live GP, you saw your rider sat in part firme, sort of chuck his hands up in the air a little bit, but you didn't get the podium cutscene that you get in single player. So I do wonder if that'll be added. But that is pretty much everything that is on this page. I will go and check the other page. I'll skim through it quickly and see if there is actually any extra information on there. So yeah, just from a quick read of this page, you can see there's actually 4 dedicated tracks. So I don't know if I read that there was 4 before. I definitely saw they were dedicated tracks. But you can see there's 4 dedicated tracks across 2 original environments. So I guess it's probably going to be 2 flat tracks in the forest, I guess, by the looks of it. And I bet there'll be like just 2 sort of tarmac circuits, and you will do this, the mini motos and the super motos at the same track. I would imagine that it would make sense to be that way. And obviously, it says here, take on new game modes, boost your rider's fitness, unlock accessories, and sharpen your skills. So yeah, I do know that maybe there will be a bit of a podium pass kind of thing with unlocking accessories there. But rider fitness is interesting. I don't know. Like I said, obviously, when I was watching the trailer, it did hark back to that old Valentino Rossi the game where you had the different rider stats. So obviously, it doesn't say what kind of stats we'll have, but I guess the training will help with that, which makes sense. Otherwise, it's a little bit pointless. So yeah, it does sound like it probably is going to be implemented to the career mode. But again, it hasn't been said specifically. Up here, it talks about the career mode, and again, it just talks about the transfer market still being in the game. And it says choose your own career turning points. So I don't know if that actually means you actually get to pick them physically, or whether it's just based on your choices. It'll give you a different one. I'm not too sure. You know, it's not super detailed. Yeah, that is pretty much everything that we do know about MotoGP 25 then. So the main things to take away are obviously, of course, it's on Unreal Engine 5 now, which is a surprise because it's also coming to the last gen consoles. Obviously, it's coming out at the end of April, and we've got this sort of new training stuff. So with the mini motos, flat track, and the supermoto training. Obviously, for us guys on PC, pretty big that we can now play with the console guys. I suppose it's a big thing for you because it's a bigger player pool. But that is everything that we do know for now. So let me know in the comments, guys. Are you looking forward to MotoGP 25? And I hope you did enjoy this little breakdown. Stay tuned. If you are new to the channel, please do subscribe because I'll be covering everything MotoGP 25 related. So when any news comes out, I'll be straight on it, straight covering it. So yeah, hope you do stick around for that. But I hope you do enjoy the rest of your day, and I shall see you in the next video.